Welcome, 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 everyone, to the Women's Empower Network. I am so excited to have Kat here and to share her with the group today. So welcome, Kat.
Thank you so much, Reverend Coach Jenny. I'm so pleased to be here.
Me too. I'm pleased you're here. And I'm really looking forward to getting to know you better and hear your story and your journey that brought you to doing what you're doing today.
Excellent. Well, thank you for this opportunity. So a little bit about my kind of where I am, and then I'll take you back.
Okay.
Currently, I'm a manifestation coach, and I primarily support people who have been separated from their biological family in some way. So an adoptee, foster care, maybe someone who found out the father that they grew up with isn't actually their birth father. Maybe it's a stepfather, but they didn't know that. There's donor conceived people, and there's people whose parents maybe passed away, or they just grew up with a single parent and never knew their biological other half. And
Wow.
so it's a very unique audience that I connect with, but there are very profound traumas and experiences that people have within this community. And my work is to help people to create a deep sense of self-love and connection and alignment with who they are internally, so that they can then manifest joy, which is their birthright. And a lot of people, especially adoptees, foster care people that have been in a system, they don't feel they deserve to live a life of joy. And I'm here to tell them and help them along the journey so they can create that.
My goodness, I love that that's your niche and who you serve. But how in the world did you come to having that particular niche?
Well, as an adopted person myself, I have lived this experience. And along my journey, most of my life, I lived in a lot of toxicity, a lot of abuse, a lot of unhealthy relational experiences, until I was finally able, I think truly just through the grace of the universe, and the pain got so bad that I literally had to rip myself apart from a relationship, a 25-year marriage that literally was going to kill me. It was going to kill me. I had a stroke at the age of 41. It was my wake-up call to say, hey, either stay and you're not going to survive, or get out and start building a new life. And so I took the latter, and I decided to start a new life. And that was about 10 years ago. And in that process, it was a true journey that I've been on. I've been through lots of metaphysical journeys, lots of transformational journeys, finding not only myself, but now I have found my birth families, both my maternal and paternal lineages.
Wow.
And it's been an amazing connection. And I truly believe a lot of the reason that I've been able to make a positive, I would say, lasting and growing connection is I did the internal work first. And I came to the experience of searching for my family from a place of curiosity and joy and fun, rather than needing that experience to fix me or complete me or heal my trauma. And
You
that's
know,
a really big difference.
there is, because not all of them have a happy ending.
They
So
don't.
that's a very significant part. And it's kind of like sounds twofold. Like, one, you need to do the inner work to have your own inner healing, but then also to be in a centered place of self-love, because you don't know what you're going to find out, and it may not be a positive experience.
That's so true. So true. And that really was the work that I did. And as I came to a place where I discovered my both sides of my lineage, and I was at that crossroads of, do I make contact or not? I really went deep inside and said, well, what if it doesn't turn out the way that you hope? What if they don't want to have a connection? What if they say no? How are you going to deal with that? And I did that work ahead of time. And I came to a place where I truly would be okay. I knew that I would grieve it. I would be sad, but it wasn't going to take me down, and it wasn't going to add to the trauma, because I'd already worked through a lot of that.
Mhm.
And so I was prepared either way. I was really prepared either way. And let me tell you, after sending the message to my birth mother on Facebook, that's how I actually found her, was on Facebook, and waiting 3 days for her response. That was the longest 3 days of my life.
I can't even imagine, and I can't even imagine being on the other end of that, because
Yes,
not knowing the circumstance of why it led to her decision doing what she had to do, and then her having to confront that decision,
exactly.
in the flash.
Exactly. And that's another piece that I do offer to help people with, is how to communicate in those first moments with a biological family member that maybe doesn't even have any clue where you are, what you've been doing, is not prepared. They're really not prepared for you showing up on their doorstep, so to speak. And the way I approached it was, hi, my name is Kat. I'm an adoptee. I've been doing some DNA research, and it appears that we're related. I'm wondering if you would be interested in making a connection.
Nice.
And I left it open at that, because if she came back and said, no, I'm not interested, she didn't even have to acknowledge if she chose not to. I wanted it to be very open-ended. I wasn't coming to her saying, hi, I'm your long lost daughter.
Right?
I truly wanted it to be, hey, this is my life. This is the journey I've been on. I'm opening the door softly and just letting you take the next step. And if the next step is no, and we close the door, at least I know I can be at peace. I will grieve it, but I'll be at peace, and I can move on. And that's why I do what I do, because that inner journey is truly the most important step. If people are not prepared, and I read it every single day in groups, I'm in many adoption groups, and I see people making posts about how traumatizing their contact is, and I just so want to say, don't make contact until you do this. You know?
Right? Well, and I really love your approach to it, because you're making a request, not a demand, or you're not showing up even with expectations. You're just opening the door. And I mean, how did you come to learn this approach? I mean, did you have a mentor, or how did you learn this?
I went through just a personal journey of finding me. And in that process, it was not adoption focused at all. And until during one specific interaction with a coach that I had at the time, who was teaching me transformational manifestation work, and it was a group program, so it wasn't even one-on-one work. We were in a group program, and during one of our transformational sessions, I had something come up that I didn't realize I had been holding on to. And that was a belief that I was a mistake and I should never have been born.
Oh,
And
wow.
when that came out of me, I was shocked. I had no idea I was holding that in all this time. I was 50 years old when this happened. And at that moment, we went through an experience that was able to release that. Lots of tears, lots of crying, lots of shaking, lots of, it literally just flowed out of my body. And at the end of like a 20-minute session, it was gone, it was done, and it's never come back. And that was
That's
the biggest
incredible.
piece. Yeah, it really was. And this is what I do for others. This is the techniques and the things that I give to others. So through that experience, I was able to come into a sense of clarity, and I truly gift it to the universe that gave me all of the leading questions, all of the experiences. How do I deal with this? How do I deal if one, my parents are deceased? One of them was. So I had already asked the question, already processed it. What if I find out there's some sort of deep trauma? What if I was conceived through a violent experience, or something that was very traumatic for my birth mother? How will I deal with that? What if I find my lineage is not what I expected it to be? What if I find there's a lot of trauma in my background, which I did? All of these questions just truly came from what I call the inspiration and the intuition, and that comes from the universe.
Yeah.
And I was
I love that. This is an incredible story and an incredible service because I mean, as we know, those early years is like the blueprint of your whole life, and there's so many things. I mean, I've been blessed to have the same mom and dad, so I cannot relate, nor could I be of service in this way. So you having this unique experience puts you in a unique position to be of service, and it's a very what comes to mind for me is I'm trying to figure out how to say it, but that ability to connect with others. Um, when you don't have it when you're really young. And like you said, I know not all foster parents are horror stories. It's just those are the ones we seem to hear about, because I know I've seen like Simone, that's a very positive one.
very positive.
So this is great. So what would you say to somebody uh, who's contemplating, thinking about connecting with their biological family?
I would first ask, one of the first questions I have you ask is, what is the purpose and the reason that you're wanting to make a connection? And to really sit with that question, sit in silence with that question. Because immediately what a lot of adoptees or a lot of people who don't know their biological family is, well, I need to know who I am. I don't know who I am. I don't know where I came from. And therefore, I have this huge missing piece in my life. So if I could just fill that up, then I would be okay. And what I help them understand is that actually may be a question that will never get answered. You may even find your biological family, they may say no, and you still won't get the answers that you want. So we have to move into a different realm. We have to go into the internal realm and discover and create who you are from the energetic place. So this is the journey that human beings, every human being is on, is who am I and how do I connect to the world? What is my purpose? What is my meaning? And a lot of adoptees and foster people and people who don't know their biological lineage, they get stuck in this place of the physical. Well, I don't know who I am physically, so I can't go on the energetic or the eternal quest of who am I energetically and spiritually. And I want to flip that narrative and say, let's do that journey first.
That's beautiful. I love it. I so get that. I so get that.
Yeah. And that can be hard. That can be hard for a lot of people because there is this deep disconnect from my body that says, well, I don't know who I am. So there is a big gap and a big disconnect. And so a lot of the people that I work with really are starting at a little bit higher level. They've done some work. they've maybe had some therapy, or they've gone on a journey to find who they are on their own. And now they're coming to that place of, I really want to go deeper. I really want to go higher. And maybe I'm ready to go on that journey to find my biological family, but there's still questions, and I'm still having that fear and that doubt. So where do I go? How do I get support? And that is one of the unique things about my personal experiences, because I have done that. And I've been able to do it in a successful way with the family members that are still living on both sides. I found out I'm the oldest of 6. And so I have 5 other siblings, 3 sisters, 2 brothers, from both mom's and dad's side. And yet in the family that I grew up in, I was the youngest of 2. So I'm the oldest of 6, but the youngest of 8, but the second of 8. So it's kind of interesting to recognize that I have multiple families. I have my adoptive family and all of that community. And then I have my biological family and all of that community. And the biggest piece of all of this is I have me. I have myself. And this, as I think a lot of us on a spiritual journey recognize, is the most important relationship. Because if we're not in relationship with ourselves, it's much more difficult to be in relationship with other people.
That is so true. And it is so important, because that first relationship is self. Itself. This has been an amazing conversation, and this is amazing what you do. I can't thank you enough for being here.
You're welcome.
And we're going to put above this interview how you can get in touch with Kat if this is something that is the journey you're on, or even what comes to mind for me is if you know somebody.
Yes.
Then now you have a reference or a referral. So, Kat, thank you so much. And we'll be sure to put your contact information above this interview. And as always, thank you for being here.
Thank you, Reverend Coach Jenny. I have absolutely enjoyed our conversation, and I appreciate the ability to share. I'll see you all.
Okay, thank you.